Despite the late hour, Anashita found himself awake, watching the moonlight coming in through the window slowly travel across the floor of the bedroom. Their bedroom. The warm presence and soft breathing behind his back would be an unmistakable sign of that, even without the arm draped over his waist. He would consider Tanaka agreeing to sleep in the same bed a few days ago as a reason to celebrate. But now something was strange. Not the touch, not the present, but something. He couldn't put his finger on it, and it drove him crazy with worries. At first glance, Tanaka seemed alright. Maybe a bit more tired than usual, but normal. Except he wasn't, at all, and Enoshita couldn't figure out what was wrong. It definitely wasn't because Tanaka wasn't able to sleep or the stress from being fired. Sure, he looked a bit down because of it, but he said it himself that he was glad he wouldn't have to deal with that horrible woman anymore. So what was it that prevented him from sleeping? What was it that apparently caused him pain to the extent of his steps faltering? The more he thought about it, the heavier his mind became, and the harder it was to fall asleep. The weird, almost defeated look in Tanaka's eyes whenever he said he wasn't hungry haunted his thoughts for almost 2 days now, as did the strange guilt he watched appearing on his boyfriend's face. Biting the inside of his cheek, he risked a quick look over his shoulder, taking note of the unusual tense lines that settled around Tanaka's mouth and eyes. The fact that his boyfriend couldn't relax even when he was supposed to sleep scared him perhaps more than anything else from his weird behavior. "What is it, Ryu? What aren't you telling me?" He startled when Tanaka's eyes suddenly opened, looking back at him without a single trace of sleep in them. "Why aren't you sleeping?" "You aren't either." A barely visible smile appeared in the corner of Tanaka's mouth. "True. It's just a bit strange to be back here with you." "But that's not the real reason, is it?" It wasn't even a question. It didn't need to be. He knew Tanaka was hiding something, that something was wrong. Sleeping in the same bed again after a few weeks of partial separation was no reason for shaking hands and wobbly walking. Tanaka winced as soon as the words left Enoshita's mouth and looked away, and Enoshita's heart dropped, a bad feeling churning in his stomach. "You're still on this? I told you it's just because of all that mess that was going on at work." "Ryu." "I'm serious, Chica. Don't worry about it, okay?" Clenching his jaw, Enoshita sat up on the bed, unable to keep still as his mind raced. "How can I not worry when you are acting so strange? You don't sleep, you don't eat, you..." He stopped, the rest of the sentence getting caught in his tightened throat. He couldn't bring himself to say it out loud, even though that was the main reason for his worries. Tanaka sighed deeply and withdrew his arm, leaving Enoshita cold just like all the days they slept apart. "Maybe we really went too fast with this." He started to get up, but Enoshita stopped him immediately, panic rising in his chest. "No, wait, I'm sorry, I want to know what's going on. Please." The despair he felt seeped into his voice, but there were more important things to worry about than be embarrassed about it. He was lost, scared and cold, and at the end of his wits. He gripped the blanket close to Tanaka's chest, not close enough to touch him, but still close enough to stop him in case he wanted to get up again. and looked straight into the storm-grey eyes he no longer recognized. I want to help. Please. Tanaka stayed silent for a long while, just watching Enoshita as if he also wasn't entirely sure what to do. Then he laid back with a deep sigh, but didn't try to resume their previous position. In fact, he pulled further away, almost as if he was deliberately avoiding touching him. This isn't something you can help me with. Not now until... He paused, and Enoshita's heart sank even deeper. But I haven't even tried yet. How can you say I can't? Even if you just need some support, I promise I won't do anything stupid. I just... Chika, please stop. I'm serious. It's fine. Or it will be with time. Don't bother yourself with this. But I... Chikara. Enoshita froze, the rest of the words dying off on his tongue. He hadn't heard Tanaka use his full name since they started dating, and yet, even before, he never said it in a warning tone like now. Tanaka blinked as if shocked himself by the tone of his voice, but then just turned around to face away from him. Get some sleep. You have work tomorrow. Enoshita opened his mouth, but his words and mind betrayed him. What could he even say to not make it worse? He already messed up. Again. Slowly, he settled back into the bed the way he was before, squeezing his eyes shut to stop the pressure building behind him. He hoped that asking Tanaka to come sleep in the same bed would bring them closer again, but now it seemed he managed to do the exact opposite. He just wanted to know what was going on. He just wanted to help. He wanted them to be alright again, go back to the lovely time they had together before this whole mess went down. And yet, he was now cold despite still feeling Tanaka's presence behind his back. He swallowed the whimper clawing its way out of his throat, desperately trying to stay quiet to not aggravate his boyfriend further. Deep down, he knew he didn't have to be afraid to be weak and vulnerable in front of Tanaka anymore, but that was under normal circumstances. There wasn't anything normal about this. Apparently, he was already annoying Tanaka with his questions and presence alone. He didn't need to add more. He woke up in a cold bed. His heart dropped when he found the other side of the bed empty, just as he did for the last 3 weeks. Why are you doing this to me? He shook his head, mentally berating himself for thinking so selfishly about this. It wasn't like Tanaka was doing that to hurt him on purpose, right? He startled when a somewhat loud bang resonated through the flat. Door, perhaps? Hesitantly, he unraveled himself from the blanket and slowly headed down the hallway to find the source of the sound, only to stop in the doorway leading to the living room and kitchen. His chest constricted when he spotted Tanaka sitting by the table with his back to him, while shaking his hands and grumbling something under his breath. Ryu? Tanaka no less than jumped before he turned around, the same guilt Enoshita had been seeing for the last 2 days flashing over his face. Oh, morning. Sorry, did I wake you up? No, I don't think so. Why were you shaking your hands? Sighing, Tanaka looked away, flexing his fingers a few times. It's nothing, they're just tingling a bit. The warning bells in Enoshita's head started to ring at full volume again. Tingling? How much? For how long? Why didn't you...
Calm down, it's nothing. I probably just slept on them and lost feeling for a while. Nothing horrible.
Enoshita clenched his hands, his own nails digging into his flesh. He wanted to ask more. He wanted to press on until he got to the bottom of this, his medical training kicking in instinctively. But after how his last attempt to ask about details of whatever was bothering Tanaka ended, he hesitated. He didn't want to upset his boyfriend again or make him regret they made a few first steps to full reconciliation. Are you sure?
Yes, I am sure.
Look. He flexed his fingers again.
It's fine. I can move them just fine.
It was probably supposed to calm Enoshita down, but nothing Tanaka said was convincing enough to drown out the worried voice in his head. He made a slow step forward, but before he could say anything else, Tanaka turned away again and glanced at the clock.
You should be getting ready. You'll be late.
And just like that, upon hearing those few words, Enoshita suddenly wanted to cry. The thoughts that terrified him more than most returning to his mind in full force. Do you want me gone so bad? Tanaka's head snapped around despite how weak his voice was. Or maybe because of that. His eyes widened. No, of course not. He jumped up from the chair and wavered, hissing, his face scrunching in pain. Ryu,
it's fine.
He wobbled forward and stopped in front of Enoshita, taking his face in his palms as gently as ever before.
I'm not sending you away. I just don't want you to be stressed about coming late for work or worry about me. It's fine.
Enoshita shook his head in despair, mist clouding his vision. It's not. I can see it's not. Why don't you want to tell me?
Because it's nothing you would have to be worried about. Please trust me in this. I swear I would tell you if something was wrong.
They stayed looking into each other's eyes for a long while, neither of them speaking or moving, though Enoshita didn't miss the little trembles visibly running through Tanaka's whole body. He wanted to press on. He knew he should press on until Tanaka told him the full truth. But at that point, he was just exhausted, long at the end of his strength. And so he just nodded and, after a beat of hesitation, covered Tanaka's hands still nested on his cheeks. Promise me you'll tell me if something was wrong.
I promise. Now go get ready or you'll really be late.
Enoshita took a shattered breath to collect his scattered willpower and, giving Tanaka's hand a light squeeze, he stepped back, immediately missing the touch. Alright, but call me if... Tanaka gave him a small smile, reaching out again to lightly caress his cheek one last time.
Don't worry.
Despite all of Tanaka's reassurances before he left the flat, Enoshita couldn't focus the whole day. Even his patients were giving him concerned glances, and one older gentleman even asked if there was something troubling him. He always waved off their concerns with a forced smile, wondering if that was how Tanaka felt lately when talking with him. But this was different. He had to stay professional and keep the swarm of all the different emotions from his face, while Tanaka was talking to him, his boyfriend. Are you sure you are alright, Enoshita-san? You've barely eaten the whole day, and if I'm being honest, you look like you haven't slept for the last week.
Enoshita sighed and downed the rest of the coffee he prepared for himself before going home.
Yes, I'm thinking about something, that's all. Some trouble?
You could say that. He shook his head and carefully put the mug into the washing machine before bidding farewell to the nurses at the reception desk and heading down the stairs and out of the building, his chest constricted and his head confused. No calls or messages from Tanaka came through during the day, which wasn't as calming as he would like it to be, and he himself had to stop his hand from reaching for the phone and writing panicked messages to make sure Tanaka was alright on many occasions.
He's fine. I would feel it if something bad happened. For sure. It's fine.
However, as he slowly made his way home, the doubts and worries dawned on him perhaps even more with every step he took. He wished he could take his mind off of things for just a moment, but that was never his strong suit. Besides, this was his boyfriend's well-being he was thinking about, the health of a person he loved the most in the world outside of his family. He was allowed to worry, even when Tanaka kept repeating he didn't have to. With a deep sigh, he returned to browsing his memory of his past medical training in hopes to find the possible reason behind Tanaka's strange walking. Of course, it could be something trivial like strained muscles from overworking, but the moment in the morning when he found Tanaka shaking life into his hands sent strange shivers down his spine.
Why does he always look so guilty about it? What is there to be guilty about if not hiding something?
He started when his shoulder suddenly collided with someone else's. Berating himself for not paying attention, he turned around to apologize, but stopped when the other man's face brightened. Ah, Enoshita-san, isn't it? Enoshita quickly dug around his memory before recognizing the guy as one of the people he met when Tanaka took him to the gym a few months ago.
Yes, a long time no see.
Yeah, it's a shame, really. Tanaka should have brought you in more than just that one time. How's he doing? He left so suddenly we didn't even manage to throw him a goodbye party. Enoshita paused, thrown off by the word left.
He left? He told me he got fired.
The other's brows furrowed in confusion. Fired? No. Well, I mean, I probably don't know the full story, but I'm pretty sure he left from his own initiative. He said he wasn't feeling it anymore, the work and sport overall. He hummed and tapped his chin as if deep in thought. Come to think of it, he has been acting weird since that medical checkup we had last week. Enoshita's heart sank, his whole body freezing, yet his mind raced.
Why would he tell me he got fired when... Why would he lie about something like that? And the checkup, he didn't even mention that. Why? What's going on? Why is he lying to me?
Enoshita-san? He snapped out of his thoughts, finding the other man looking at him with concern. Is something wrong?
I don't know. He said he got fired because of that woman who harassed him. Why would he lie about that?
Huh, that's strange. Doesn't sound like Tanaka at all. I guess maybe he was worried about how you would react if he told you he left his job. I mean, that woman could be part of the problem, but he definitely wasn't fired because of it. The ground swayed under Enoshita's feet, the world spinning with him. He couldn't make any sense of the new information, nor the fact that Tanaka, the most honest person he had ever met in his life, was lying to him the whole time. Not just hiding the truth, straight up lying. But why would he do all this? For what? I'm sorry, I have to go. Oh, yeah, sure. It was nice meeting you again. Please tell Tanaka I say hi.
Yes, of course.
With that, he turned back where he was headed before and rushed towards their flat, letting his legs carry him the familiar way while his mind was entirely somewhere else.